I think growing up in Gage Park influenced everything about the founding of GPLXC. I was born to a teen mom uh, who was very young when she had me, and we had a lot of struggles growing up, and she did her best to try to provide for me. Uh, and that really quickly made me at a young age realize the lack of resources in our communities. My mom always took us out of the neighborhood to go to nicer libraries, to even go to nicer schools. We had to leave our own neighborhood. When we were hanging out, we never went to our local park. We would go to a park downtown. And so that was very normalized for me. And as I got older, I really was curious about, like, why is it that I always have to leave my community to access anything? Even when I would hang out with my friends who lived a couple blocks away, we'd be like, let's meet up in Pilsen. Let's meet up, in Chinatown. And as I got older, that really didn't sit right with me, because I realized that it was a systemic injustice that people from impoverished neighborhoods and people from Black and brown neighborhoods don't have resources within their own communities and then have to travel outside of them. And not everybody can travel outside of their communities. A lot of people never leave the neighborhood in which they're born. The amount of people I meet that have never been downtown is like baffling to me. And so we knew that we had to create spaces that we envisioned and that we wished for when we were younger. And so when I created GPLXC, a lot of it was like, where would my mom would have wanted to take me and my siblings for free, to get books for free, to receive like literacy programs and story times, to receive food boxes, to be able to access computers, to be able to learn art programming or have after school programming. And that has really influenced most of the work. I'm really lucky that my entire team, all of us live in Gage Park. All of us grew up in Gage Park. When you talk about the nonprofit world, that's almost unheard of. Usually it's people coming from outside of community into community to try to problem solve. We are one of the only organizations that I know of where 100% of the people were born and raised in the community that they're serving and still lived there. So I chose to continue to live in Gage Park as I build this work and as I create my own adult life, trying to really transform the community in ways in which I needed personally. And so I do think that we build the world that we wish we had when we were younger, and that's been like the guiding star of the work.
Lived experience is so very important in creating anchor organizations like GPLXC that inspires young people to want to not go away to get all of the resources that they should be having in their neighborhood, but saying we can build it here.
Yeah.
One of the things that we talked about your organization, that while it's founded and there's a laundry list, right, that it also includes sexual orientation, right? Certainly, your background in regards to being part of the LGBTQ community, but it's not exclusive to the LGBTQ community, right? Everything that we've talked about, from food insecurity to creating spaces for young people, creative spaces, is for all people. Tell me a little bit about the importance of, in the community, members that are seeing you as more than just an organization focused on the LGBTQ community, but really what it really is for all members of the community of Gage Park.
Yeah, so the founders of GPLXC happen to be queer, but we founded the organization for our community. And so I think that it's very seldom that you see a queer organization or LGBTQ plus organization that is focused on serving everybody. And that's because we grew up in this community, and therefore I know that there are other queer people living in the neighborhood. When I was younger and I didn't really know anything about being gay or queer, because those things are not spoken about culturally in our households, I thought I was the only person in all the neighborhood that had these feelings, that thought this way. And so I think that there's a lot of invisibility there. But in serving everybody, we are also indirectly serving queer people because they are a part of the community. And so what we wanted to do was not to have those two things in silos. Again, having multitude of identities. You can be more than one thing at one time. And so by not making it like this is an exclusively LGBT space, we've been able to bring in community and have them be exposed to LGBT people who have for 5 years been supporting their families and feeding them and teaching their children. And I think that has undone a lot of the propaganda, and it's been a process of unlearning where naturally through service and through humanity and human connection, people have been like, okay, like these things that I've heard about or was taught about LGBT people, maybe it's not so true, because these group of young people have consistently shown up for 5 years when everybody else, elected officials and people that have more access to more resources, have failed to show up. And so I think that's built an immense trust and an immense allyship to where now mostly everybody that we serve feels comfortable in our space, regardless of their gender or sexuality. And so, you know, we'll have LGBT teens with teens that identify as heterosexual. And it's not a space in which either of them feels uncomfortable.